This is Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network, and I'm your host, Mark. And today's guest should be musically jet-lagged, but she's not. Welcome the mononymous Tartie to the podcast. She's from Melbourne and has recently collaborated with Binnie Klein out of Connecticut for a project called In These Trees. It's an emotional journey of an album. But before that happened, Tartie went through a whole lot of other phases. She taught herself piano at age 6. She also started writing original music early on, and she eventually studied music in college and played some pretty unusual early gigs. Tartie discusses her early music, which is definitely more pop than her more recent work. She tells me about the Melbourne music scene and how she started going by the name Tartie. She switched things up during the pandemic as Melbourne had some of the tightest restrictions, so she found creative musical ways to fill her time. She talks about how she met her future collaborator, Binnie Klein, and how their partnership started. In These Trees began as a completely different project than the way it wrapped up. And in the time it took to finish the album, Tartie had 2 babies. She reveals a few stories behind select songs and the difficulties of touring an album when the collaborators are over 10,000 miles apart. Go to inthesetrees.com for links to buy the album and social links for the project. Visit @TartieMusic to check out what she's up to. Go to @PerformanceANX to check out what we're up to. Merch is at performanceanx.threadless.com. Send us coffee money through ko-fi.com/performanceanxiety. And now we go international on Performance Anxiety on the Pantheon Podcast Network.
Yeah, so what am I saying? So I'm saying this is Tartie from Melbourne. No, this is Tartie from In These Trees and Tartie, and you're listening to Performance Anxiety, the Performance Anxiety podcast with Mark Shea. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Sorry. No, that was a practice, and you can't use that one. Okay. This is Tartie from In These Trees and Tartie, and you're listening to the Performance Anxiety podcast with Mark Shea. Perfect.
Thank you for doing that. I know it's early in the morning. Well, relatively early in the morning.
No, it's not too bad. It's not too bad.
Okay, good. Well, I've got a little drink here, so cheers.
Yeah, cheers.
I've got
water.
I've got a coconut Hiwa porter. So
nice.
Smashed the can by accident, but so if Maui Brewing Company wants to sponsor the podcast, I am open to the sponsorships.
Yeah, nice.
All right, so I have been enjoying the album immensely. It's it's fantastic. It's like such a journey. I'll kind of explain what I mean by that as we get into it. But before we get to the album, I want to find out how you got to that point in the first place. So you're currently in Melbourne, Australia, correct?
Yeah.
Is that where you're from originally?
Yeah, I've lived here, my whole life. So yes, I was born here, my family here. Yeah, I've always been in Melbourne.
And you do a lot of singing, songwriting. Was music a big part of your life growing up? Was there a lot of it in the house? Were your parents into it?
So my mum was really into music. We had a piano in our house and we used to play the piano as kids, and it was like a family thing. We would get around the piano and sing, and music was always playing. My dad was very much into classical music, so he was really into opera and all sorts of classical music. So he had this classical room in our house, and there would just be the loudest music coming from there, but it's not like heavy metal. It was beautiful classical music. But still, we tell him to turn it down because it was so loud.
It's funny that you just brought back a memory. My grandfather would do the same thing. He would be down in the basement building his model airplanes, and opera would be blaring throughout the house. And I guess maybe that's where I get I blast a lot of rock, and maybe that's where I get it from.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, so we had a lot of opera in the house and classical, but a lot of other music. Yeah, it was very much, I've got 2 sisters and we all played music, and my older sister was more into classical singing and I was more into contemporary and writing songs from a very young age, and
Were your parents musical in it at all? I mean, did they play the piano, or did they do it? Anybody in that family do it professionally at all?
Not professionally, but my mum played the piano, and sang.
Was piano what you started with?
Piano, I taught myself piano at the age of 6.
Wow.
And then, I just sat at the piano and was like, I'm going to learn this. And then from there, I was like, very much into singing and writing my own songs. And I carried around this little notebook at school, in primary school, with like songs in it. And
wow.
I was very much, this is what I'm going to do. I had way more confidence back then than I do now.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
So you knew from an early age that you wanted to sing, and you were singing from an early age then?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was singing from a really early age. Yeah, I've just always loved it.
At what point did you really start to take it seriously and start to think, well, this actually could be something I could do?
Probably not till after school. So during school, I sang a lot at school and we had lots of performances, and I loved that because that was like a very safe environment. And then I started performing at these like business awards that my mum got me. Like my mum worked at in this place, and she in this TAFE education place, and she as a teacher, and she was asked if she knew anyone that could perform at their kind of local business awards. And I got this gig playing at the dinner service, and it was only 3. It would have only been probably about 3 songs that I had to play, but I would get to tour. I toured around Victoria doing that, which is our state, and it was really good. And I was only 18. Yeah, it was great. So I was able to do that, and that's also. I'm kind of losing my train of thought.
That's okay.
Yeah, and then from there I went and studied music. What
did you study?
I studied jazz. I studied jazz contemporary for a year at the Victorian College of Arts, and then I went to Box Hill TAFE, which is a TAFE that had an amazing music program, and I studied there as well.
Okay, same thing.
I did
jazz?
a diploma of music performance, contemporary voice.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you playing in bands at all, or was it more solo performances? Outside of school,
It was more solo performances. So it was my own thing with piano, but I did have a band that I would play locally. I was always performing. I was very, I kind of just made contacts and then was able to find places to perform, and it was really good. That was in my early 20s, so it feels like a long time ago, but it wasn't that long ago.
I know that feeling well, too.
It's like, was that yesterday? No, it was like ages ago.
Let's see, my 20s, was that yesterday or 30 years ago for me?
Yeah.
So, not being from Australia, I am very curious to know when you were starting out, what was the music scene like there, and has it changed since then? I mean, are there a lot of venues for independent artists to play?
Yeah, Melbourne is, I don't know how true this is, but a lot of people say Melbourne's the live music capital of the world.
Oh,
which
cool.
I think that was during COVID because we were the only one that was open.
A little caveat, but that's okay.
Yeah, there's a caveat because anyway, so live music capital of the world, apparently, in that it has the most kind of live music venues per capita, I think. Okay. I think that's the caveat as well. So,
Excuse me.
So, no, that's okay. So Melbourne's really, really a great place to live for live music. There's lots of opportunities. There's live music everywhere. We're very supportive of live music, and so I'm really lucky to live in Australia. The music scene is really vibrant here. There's lots of amazing artists that play here, but also do really well overseas, and there's a huge support for Australian independent artists, especially now.
Oh, cool.
So it's a very vibrant cultural and creative, multicultural and creative hub, I feel, especially in Australia.
We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. So at what point did you start recording your own music and releasing your singles?
So I recorded and released my first, probably I was doing really kind of bedroom recordings, and not that I didn't really have much of a, what can I say? I didn't really have much of a plan. Like, it wasn't like, okay, I'm going to release this many singles. I kind of just wrote a song, then found someone that would help me record it, and then kind of put it up on MySpace. That was how long ago this was. Yeah, in my teens and stuff. It was like up on MySpace. And then that died a death. And then I kind of put stuff on SoundCloud, and then I waited, and then Spotify came along. I kind of was always like, oh, I'll just get a record deal and then it'll all be taken care of me. Like, care of it. Yeah, that'll take care of it for me. And then obviously that didn't happen, but I'm kind of glad as well because I've maintained my own control the whole way.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's been helpful. But Spotify came along. I don't even know when that started. That's probably bad of me. But I actually went to America. I had management in America from 2010 or 2009. And so that was ages ago. But I ended up going and living in America from 2010. I did 3 kind of stints between 2010 and 2014. I was able to, because I had a manager, and so we started releasing singles properly then. So I'd say, what was the question? Was it that rambling about my career without even knowing what the question was the question about?
I was just curious when you started. Yeah, when you got your start, when you started releasing your own music.
Yeah, so that was probably 2010. I'd say, so a while ago, 14, but not as Tartie. So I was under my normal name, which is Tartie Anderson, and there's not many songs out there left on the internet that are Tartie Anderson anymore. But I'd say so I came back from America in 2015, and then I decided to use the moniker Tartie as the name Tartie for my next kind of project. I felt like there was something different from the old Tartie Anderson material that I wanted to explore with my new songs, and so I did that with I recorded a new EP with an amazing Melbourne producer, and that was when I kind of got serious, and that was, I think I released that 2017 or 2018.
Okay, was that anything at all?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so I haven't heard anything previous to that. So how is the new music different from the older music?
The older music was more kind of, some of it was really poppy. Okay. I think for a while, my manager and I in America, we were kind of thinking, Taylor Swift is still so big here in the world. She's the biggest now. She just keeps getting bigger, which is amazing.
Crazy.
I wouldn't call myself a Swiftie, but I have a lot of respect and a lot of respect and adoration for someone that's been doing it for so long and just keeps getting better.
She can write a hook. She's really good.
Yeah, I know. And it's so great for women in music, I feel, as well. If we're going to talk about this collaboration, which was essentially 2 women, like our collaboration to be, she's in her mid-30s, I think, now, and to not be just thrown out to to not be shelved, which it used to be the case. She's just done, she's done really well, and she doesn't need me to praise her because she's got enough people praising, but I like your stuff, okay?
That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
And so I think basically, my previous stuff was more poppy. Okay. I'd say more poppy, and then I kind of came back and I wanted to do something a bit more alternative, a bit more me, I felt. And yeah, I just keep exploring different sounds, really.
Okay.
The further I go on, yeah.
So I'm curious. You said you came to America on 3 different occasions. Where were you living? Where did you settle in this enormous country?
Everyone gives me rubbish for this, but I actually really enjoyed living there. I was in Cleveland, Ohio. Yeah,
that's not where I would have picked.
That's where my manager was. I know. Everyone's like, why are you there? Why were you in LA or New York? Now, we went to New York for performances. And we went to Detroit to record. So it wasn't like we were in Cleveland, only in Cleveland. We were kind of all around that area. But that was just the opportunity that was presented to me at the time. And being young and naive, well, not young and naive, but being kind of just so brave. Now I look back, I was like, yeah, I'll come over and see how it goes. And I performed at a showcase, and then one thing led to another. I was meant to only stay for 3 weeks. I stayed for about 6 months that time.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so anyway, so that was where I ended up. But I've traveled I've been to LA, I've been to, we traveled around. Yeah.
Okay. So home base was Cleveland, but you were mobile.
Not totally in Cleveland the whole time. God, no.
Thank God.
Where are you?
I'm in Virginia. So
nice.
I am about 75 miles or I guess 90 minutes due west of DC.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm close enough to get into a lot of shows.
Wow.
I love seeing live music.
White House?
I mean, I drive past it just about every time I go into DC. So.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yeah, it's DC. DC, I actually love. I hate getting to DC, but once I'm there, I love it. It's such an interesting city because it's not a big city, but it's got so many venues for music and all, but it doesn't feel claustrophobic like a New York or LA does because they've got height restrictions on the buildings. So no building in DC can be taller than the Washington Monument.
Oh, okay.
So you got a lot of different areas, but you can still see the sky. So it's I actually like it a lot. It's a very interesting city with a lot of history. Yeah. And a lot of old architecture for such a young country, I guess. So
yeah, amazing.
Yeah. So is there, and now that you mentioned it, I mean, is there a reason? I know you told me why you changed the name, but is there a reason why you picked Tartie, or is it like a family nickname? Or
so it's a family nickname. So I just was called that as a kid. So I'm Natasha Tash. And for some reason, I was called Tartie as a kid. So I was like, yeah, I'll do it. But then everyone thinks it's like some seductress. I don't know. So I'm like, weird Tart, because they affiliate it with the name Tart. And I'm like, well, maybe I wasn't. Right, I don't know. Whatever. You can think whatever, but it's a really innocent childhood nickname. So
exactly. So we'll make that clear. But it's the first time I've ever heard that name, so I was very curious.
Yeah, I know. It's a bit weird, but it's not weird to our family.
All right, so you started coming out with singles on your own as Tartie in 2017, and I love Anything at All. I think it's such a beautiful song. It is beautiful. And I will be 100% honest, I did not expect an F-bomb right in the middle of it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't know why I did that.
I'm just sitting here bopping along, and all of a sudden, boom, ooh, wow, it's got a little edge to it now.
Yeah, I think I was very angsty in that time, writing that. Yeah, I don't know. I definitely, I don't really.
It's got a bit of that rebellious Aussie in you.
Yeah, it's a bit rebellious. I think I was trying to appeal to a certain kind of grungy, like I was like, I'm not doing the pop thing anymore. I'm going to swear.
I love that. That's what you decide how it's going to be grungy. I'm going to swear. That is awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to swear, which is really silly. Like I now think I really haven't repeated. I haven't written anything with swearing in it. since.
I
That's the only time.
I've noticed
and
that.
It's these beautiful floaty songs, and it's like I can't remember the words, but yeah. Anyway.
Well, I went and I listened to all the singles, and merch T-shirt. I love the story in that song.
Oh, thank you.
I also love the fact that it's a song about a merch T-shirt, and I love the picture of you wearing a shirt that says merch T-shirt.
Even after all these years, I can't believe you're mine. There's nowhere we need to be. It's about the little things in your merch T-shirt. Can't believe you're mine. There's nowhere we need to be.
Yeah,
I love that shirt.
I had such fun creating all that. Like, I've got a merch T-shirt, which you can actually. I wonder if they're online. I did for a while have an online option for people to buy a T-shirt that just says merch T-shirt and then Tartie on the back.
I want one, so I'm going to have to find one because I want one so bad.
Oh my gosh, I'll send you one. I'll get one made and I'll send it to you.
That would be amazing. I would wear it.
Wear your merch T-shirt.
I would wear it to
T-shirt. Yeah.
I would wear it to every single show. I do a lot of live music photography. I would wear it to every show.
Yeah, nice. Oh, awesome. Yeah, like wearing your merch T-shirt. That's hilarious.
That's great.
Yeah, so that was recorded in Sydney with an amazing producer called Neil Sutherland, and he is really amazing. He's big in the music industry here. Plays with all sorts of great artists, and he actually found my music. I think he found Anything at All, and he messaged me and said, would you be interested in working together? And we did a couple of singles. We actually did. We did Merch T-shirt, then we did Missing Hearts, then we did Winter's Girl.
Okay. Missing Hearts.
So that led into my, how I found Binnie.
Right. So I love the unusual musical arrangement on Missing Hearts. It's just got some weird sounds, some unusual stuff going on in there, and that really drew me in. I love stuff like that.
I kept an image of you in the back of my mind, and that's so like us. It's always been complicated. That's so like us. 1 minute I'm free and you're taken. We're two missing hearts, living life one beat apart. We're two missing hearts. You stop and I will start to missing hearts.
That is an awesome track. I think it's so interesting to listen to.
Yeah, that was him. He was, because I have a piano version of it as well, and it's just, me on the piano playing it, and then with Missing Hearts, and we wanted something cool, and he had this cool bass sound, and that's how it's and I was like, that's cool, and then we did clicking, and clapping, we did clicking and clapping, and I played the drums on that actually.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, I say I played the drums, but I was just like boom, 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 boom. And in the top, it was not a convoluted drum part.
It counts.
It counts. I'm going to say I played the drums. I played all the instruments, guys. No, I didn't. I played piano and a couple of drum hits and some clapping. But that was fun. He's a fantastic producer, and I'm so happy with the songs we did.
And you've also, and I want to ask you a little bit about Winter's Girl, because that's kind of what got a whole lot of this new music started. But you also, and I'm trying to pull it up right as we're speaking, but my computer's going a little weird. You did a bunch of covers, and I believe it was through the pandemic. Was it that you released on your YouTube channel?
Oh yeah, I did a Weekend song, Blinding Lights.
Yes.
Yeah, that was cool. We were in lockdown, so one thing that I don't know what part of what your state did during COVID, but during COVID, our state actually was the strictest, I think, in the world. I think we had the one of the strictest, longest lockdowns in the world.
Oh, wow.
So we had a lot of time to sit, and I was like, I'm going to do some covers. I'm really bored with I was writing a lot of stuff, but I wanted to do some covers as well. So that was fun. I was given the time to do that. Yeah, right. So some covers. I love doing covers, and that's what I also play at weddings and things, and I love doing my own spin on certain, especially pop songs. I love bringing them onto the piano and making them kind of a ballad.
Yeah. Gosh, I'm trying to remember what it was. There was one other that you did at the...
was it The Lord? Was it Teams?
Yes, Teams, yes. Yeah. That was really good. I like that a lot.
Oh, thank you.
And everyone's competing for love they won't receive. And what the palace wants is release. We live in cities you'll never see on screen. Not very pretty, but we sure know how to run things. Living in ruins of a palace within my dreams. And you know we're on each other's team.
So, Winter's Girl.
Yeah.
That, I think you really found your sweet spot on that song. It's a big ballady song. It feels enormous. And I think that's a natural place for you as far as writing and performing. It just sounds like you're comfortable in that space.
Yeah, you're totally right. I felt like that is me in a song, finally. I feel like I finally found me in a song, and I feel like it blends so well into the music I made with Binnie as well. And I feel like when I was making that with Neil, but also it was mixed with his friend Richie as well, and I kept writing back to them and saying, bigger guys, bigger. And they were probably like, what? Jeez, crazy. Like, it's as big as it could get. I was thinking Coldplay big. You know, that stadium sound?
Yep.
Yeah, so I kept thinking, I kept getting the mixes back, and I was like, nah, it needs to be bigger. And all I would write back is like, guys, bigger. And they were probably just so frustrated with me. Because I was just saying, bigger, bigger, bigger. And it's like, yeah, we're doing everything anyway, I'm so wrapped with the final version. Like, it's such, it was a very personal song for me. It was about finding diaries that I'd written as a younger girl.
Oh, wow.
When I was quite distressed and I didn't really like myself, to be honest. And now I look back, you look back and you're like, why didn't I like myself? I had everything going on. It's just that teenage angst. And I just didn't recognise the person that had written those words. Oh, I'd done so much work on myself since and become such a confident, happy person that I did not even recognise who was writing that stuff. I just didn't. And so I wrote that song to that girl. Who had written that. So, Winter's Girl, because it was the girl that was in the winter of my life.
Now we can see what your obsessions are about. Eyes wide open with your sweaty palms, wanting so much to embrace the calm. You're standing at the entrance to the stairs of the world. You told me you were full grown, but honey, you're just a girl. You thought wearing high heels meant you had it figured out.
Yeah, so for me, it was a really healing song, and just to have it, have received, quite positive feedback for one of my songs, and I was really, taken with that. It was really humbling, and to have people appreciate it, it was really nice.
Like I said, I think it's one of the best things you've written. It's it feels like you. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
This is the first time we've ever spoken, but I could hear that you were comfortable in that space.
Yeah, isn't that interesting? Because you are so right. Yeah. You're obviously good at what you do.
Well, thank you. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. And you sent that, if I'm not mistaken, directly to Binnie.
Yes. I was just part of my press kind of release. I'm an independent artist, so I send out the press release to a lot of different radio stations, and I had something called the Indie Bible, and it had a list of all these different radio stations, and I was able to send it out to her, and she actually responded and said, I really like this. I'm going to play this on my show. And I knew her show. I listened to it a few times, and I was like, oh, because she plays really cool stuff. And and I was like, oh, okay. And then then our story began.
All right, so
and that was 2019,
Okay, that was going to be my next question. So 2019, you send it out as part of a campaign. You didn't know her, exactly who she was, but you were familiar with her through this Indie Bible that you got.
Yeah,
and she reached out to you.
Yeah.
Okay. How did the collaboration aspect of this relationship get started? When and how, I guess?
Well, we were in the pandemic, I think, by this stage. Oh, were we? No, we just were chatting, and she just happened to say, I really like your voice, and would you be able to play on... We chatted a bit on email. Oh, I can't remember. I'd love to find the email. I probably should go back and find the email where she asked me. But she had some lyrics, and she said, would you have a go at putting some music to this or singing this? And I was like, well, I had nothing really going on at the time, and I'm always up for a collaboration of some description. I had no idea it would lead to where it did. And so she said, would you put some music to these lyrics? And then I did, and then I sent them back to her, and that was Orchard.
Okay, so that ended up being the first single.
Let all the fruits fall down. Moving through the orchard, you stroll through the grove. Arms grabbed apples of the sun, trunks were strong, you thought love came back next spring. Strip the branches clean, earth there for you to devour. I'll protect you, come off gentle.
And she loved it. And then, it kind of went from there. And then she got the amazing expertise of David Barron, the producer, and he came in with Orchard, and suddenly it was becoming bigger than Ben Hur. She was like, we're getting a live cellist, we're getting this. And all I did was record my vocals in my house. I think I was in lockdown of some description then, so that was easy. I didn't do even that good. Like, the vocals weren't even that good. It was raw, and I sent them to David. I sent them, I think, to David or through Binnie, and then all of a sudden he sent back this phenomenal track, and I was like, whoa, okay. Wow. This is like the best thing I've worked on. This is, okay. I'm glad I answered this email.
Wow. Oh, that's incredible.
And it was like, okay, well, how are we going to do this? It was going to be, and she said, would you release this as a Tartie song? And I said, well, if these are your lyrics, this is your experience, I think you should have an artist name. And originally it was just going to get too complicated for me just to say, and also because I'm used to writing my music, the lyrics and the music. Mm-hmm. And so it was going to get a bit complicated to kind of separate everything, or just have me say, hi, I'm Tartie, or to my fans and stuff, to say, hi guys, this lady in the US has written the lyrics to this song, but I've written the music. It was going to get too confusing. Everyone would be like, what is happening? And this is about her when she was 16. years ago in her teenage years, her first relationship, the angst of that, and I was like, okay, I think she needs to be definitely front and centre for this.
Yeah.
And so she created the beautiful artist name In These Trees, and from there we just went forward, and it was In These Trees featuring Tartie for the first song, because we weren't sure she was going to do all different artists at that point. She was going to do working with different artists and getting a different person to sing each song, but then it ended up just being me. And by that stage, by the time we talked about doing a full EP with the songs, they all just started happening. Like, we just started working on more songs, and then it all kept going, and everything worked really well. We had really good synergy, and everything, all the creative aspects, it just worked, even though we are thousands of miles apart.
Yeah.
And 10,000 miles apart, I think she's worked out.
Yeah, I think we haven't even mentioned that.
David, and I did a couple of Zooms with him, and he's a fantastic guy, and we got along really well, and I mean, he just understood how to work with my vocal, and I sent him not the best vocals all the time, because I just could do them when I could.
Yeah.
And we would with time constraints and things, and he just has an ability to bring out the best in everyone he works with. I mean, he's doing amazing things and continues to. And that was a huge honour working with him, but also with Binnie, and we became really good friends, and we still are. We're good friends because of this.
Oh, that's awesome.
So Orchard became, I guess, in a rambling way, Orchard became very much the first single, and then we were like, okay, there's more here. Let's explore more. And then it was an EP, and then David actually said, you guys are doing so well, you could do an album. And, there's more here. And he was right. There was more. Binnie was writing so much, and I was able to add music to that. And then we grabbed some of my old songs that I didn't know where they sat, and we were able to add them to the album as well, like Ablaze.
I think that's my favorite on the album. That song is amazing.
We wait till it's too late. Who can you say that it's a lie today? She's in pain, and you went away, let it delay. Meanwhile, we are all ablaze.
So I wrote that in 2020, in December, when my house was full of smoke from the wildfires.
I remember hearing about that. Yeah.
You guys call it wildfires, we call it bushfires. Yeah.
Well, yeah. And here's the one thing
Basically, the world was burning,
Yeah.
and I was like, what is happening? And there was a political situation at the time, which I won't go into, in Australia, and I was frustrated. So I was like, right, I'm going to write this, and then I sang it to Binnie on Skype.
Okay.
And she was like, you need to record it. I want to play it on my show. And I'm like, Binnie, I've just written it. I have not recorded it. So I quickly recorded it on GarageBand at home. And then it got played on the show, and then she got it written up for Climate Connections, Yale Climate Connections for Yale University. It got a spot on that, and anyway. So things happened, and because of that, she was tied to that song, and she's like, I want David to have a go at it and put it on the album.
Oh, that's amazing. And the one thing we haven't actually even touched on is that, so you're in Melbourne, so that's Southeast Australia, and Binnie is in Connecticcut, so Northeast US.
Oh yeah, we haven't even said that. I've never been to where she lives. I will travel one day. We've got to meet.
It's amazing.
We'll never meet.
So you have yet to meet in person.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh my God.
She hasn't come to Australia. I haven't gone there.
And you two have been working together for years at this point.
Yeah, 4 years, 3 years. Yeah.
That is amazing to me. It's just that kind of thing can only happen in this day and age.
Yeah, I know. It's crazy. Do you know, back to Taylor Swift, she met, was it Bon Iver? She'd never met him with their song together, and they met at the Grammys when they were receiving their Grammy Awards for the song they did together.
I didn't know that. Oh my God.
I think, don't come at me if it's wrong, but I think I'm right. It was one of her collaborators that she was collaborating with on that amazing album, which is actually what made me get into her music, that Folklore album.
Okay.
Was it Folklore? I can't remember. The folky album that she released during the pandemic. Anyway.
It sounds right.
She met one of her collaborators in person for the first time at the Grammys. When they were accepting the award.
That is amazing. So does Binnie perform on the album? I know she said she's written some lyrics and some music, but...
Yeah, so she does a bit of vocals in, let me think, Quiver.
Okay.
On the back, and I think, am I right in that she started playing keys? She's so talented. Like, to me, I just have so much respect for her, because she just is like, yeah, I'll do this. I'll start songwriting. I'll play the piano. I think there was a bit of guitar happening. Her and her husband had this like creative hub where he would start doing lyric videos, and he taught himself how to do lyric videos and how to. I think they taught themselves how to record themselves. It was crazy. They're amazing. They're inspirational, because, you know, she could have just been like, oh, I'm settled in my career and my life, and because she's, you know, she says to me, you know, I'm in my third act.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. You know, she's she's around 70 or
70.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
It's amazing, and it's just so, it's like, yeah, it just doesn't matter like what age you are.
Nope.
That's one of the things we wanted to dispel. You know, we wanted to be like, it's never too late to do something that's in your heart and that you want to tell a story about.
Yeah.
And, you know, we are generations apart. We are thousands of miles apart. We wrote this through a pandemic, across continents, across states, because her and David are in a different state. Now, she's met him. She actually travelled to Sun Mountain Studios in New York with him, and she was able to do that. And I'm so jealous, because I wanted to be there. I was in Melbourne with my babies.
Oh, well.
I know.
You know.
I had 2 babies during the time of recording this album.
Wow.
So that was why I was kind of like, that was why I was kind of like, well, it was, you know, I would send vocals to David, like, and I wasn't sending the best stuff at all times, because I was sleep deprived or whatever was happening.
Hey, but sometimes that kind of stuff pushes you and actually makes it a great performance. Yeah,
exactly. Oh, totally. I'm so much more productive now because I have less time.
Oh, gosh. Yeah.
So much more productive.
Yeah. Boundaries, deadlines, they force creativity and productivity.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I agree.
So one of my absolute favorite songs on this album is Ghosts in Our Room.
And I would build a barricade to block them out. You are not them. That is not what you are about. It doesn't matter anymore. That's what she said. Broken thoughts, they can't be healed. Using the same.
Oh, yeah, Ghost in Our Room. That's another one of my ones.
I adore that song.
Yeah, my ones. It's very nice of you.
It reminds me, I don't know if you're familiar with this artist, but it reminds me so much of Kristen Hirsch.
No, I will look at. Actually, maybe I've heard her name before, but thank you for the recommendation.
Oh, she's amazing. She was in a band in the 90s called Throwing Muses, and then she's done solo stuff. And That song reminds me of a lot of her, and I haven't heard too much of her most recent solo stuff, but it reminds me of her early solo stuff. She did an amazing song with Michael Stipe called Your Ghost, and I highly recommend you check that out.
Okay, Your Ghost. Okay, I will.
But what I really enjoyed about this album is that it's a journey, because you start off with The Orchard and Ablaze, and but the album is not like doom and gloom, although those are emotional songs, very powerful songs. Yeah. But once you get to Meet Me on the Mountaintop, everything's kind of sounding triumphant and victorious and positive. And that's one of the great things about this album is the journey you take listening to it.
Yeah, we thought about the order of the songs a lot, because they do all tell stories, but weirdly enough, the songs that I already had that I brought to Binnie that I didn't really know where they were going to go, like Ablaze, Ghost in Our Room, and Ghosts in Our Room. That sounds like I said ghosts. There's no ghosts.
That's another thing. Next album. The next album.
Pardon?
That'll be on the next album, Goats in Our Room.
Yeah, next album. Ghosts. Yeah, so Ghosts in Our Room and what was the other one? Meet Me on the Mountaintop.
Yes.
They all blended in, and their theme of the environment and how it's always present in our life and present with these stories. And it just all, I can't even speak of it. It's so weird how it all happened and it all worked. And you're right, it is a journey. We start with The Orchard and Won't You Leave This Town, Get Out of My Face, that angst of The Orchard, Blaze, the land's been totally ravaged by these bushfires, and when are we going to do something about it? And moving into the Quiver. Is Quiver third? I can't even remember.
Quiver's third, yeah.
Yeah, Quiver's third, and then we're more up-tempo, and it's about settling into yourself. And then we've got Ghosts in Our Room, about to quite, haunting. That song, that's what I wrote that. I sent that to David, and he wrote back, wow, this is so haunting.
It is.
That's how he described it, and it is so haunting. And I actually got into a music prize here. I got into the semi-finals, and I was able to, with that song, and I was able to perform it. And the judges were like, that was really haunting. Everyone keeps saying the haunting.
Yeah, it is. That's the perfect word to describe it.
It is haunting, and the way David arranged it, because it is a very repetitive riff on the piano. And it continues throughout the whole thing. It does not change. And the way he was able to add additional instruments and change up the recording of the production to have moments of difference between the chorus and the verse, as opposed to just one long continuous riff. That was really good. He really, just brought that song out and brought that song to life.
So I have a question about one song in particular. Mm-hmm. Hailstorm.
Oh, yes.
Who wrote the lyrics for that?
Binnie.
That was going to be my guess, because the lyrics of that sound like a therapy session.
Got caught in a hailstorm, thought of you. Looked over my shoulder, thought of you. Swear my fears under, thought of you. Beg for amnesty, thought of you. Listen to a mandolin, thought of you. Heard the moans of monotones, thought of you. Kept the beat alive, thought of you. Laugh loud in a crowd.
Yes, so her lyrics are I think they're amazing. They're insightful, and they're better than mine. They're kind of, I'm a bit more literal. She writes very beautifully, really, like poems. Yeah, they're like a beautiful poem. And, how it got caught in a hailstorm. That's from her words, from what she's told me, and from when we released that as a single. She says it's about the kind of what's the word? I'm trying to think. The kind of ever-presence of love. When you're in love with someone, it doesn't matter what you're doing, you're always thinking of them.
Yes.
And so it's like I got caught in a hailstorm and I thought of you. I did this. I thought of you. I did this. I thought of you. Yeah, that's what she's described to me, and it is like a therapy session.
Exactly. It sounds like a psychotherapist wrote it. I mean, it's amazing.
Yeah.
So that being said, because that is one of her many careers.
Yeah, I know. Amazing.
Being that Binnie is a psychotherapist, are you ever worried about the lyrics you send her being analyzed like a therapy session?
Oh, yeah, she probably thinks I need like intensive therapy. Probably like this girl needs to go straight into a padded cell.
But she's got a great voice, so
she's got a great voice. So let's get her crazy in the world.
Yeah. So I think she's just so generous and kind to me. Like she wouldn't even, I don't even know. Maybe she'd be like, "Oh, I'm offering my services." Pro bono.
I don't think I've sent her anything really tortured. And Ghost in Our Room was about someone else.
But see, it makes sense why she really grabbed onto Winter's Girl, though.
Yeah, that is so true. Yeah, well, I've never thought of that. Yeah, she was probably like, this is, yeah, so she could see the kind of psychoanalysis of it all. Yeah. So
are there going to be any performances of the album?
So I so want to. So we are talking about this. I would love to tour it. We've just got to work it out and how that would work. Yeah. There's a possibility of me just touring it or doing a live. We thought about doing a live video, like getting musicians and doing all the songs from the album.
Okay.
And then recording that and then having that on the internet to live, so that people can watch some kind of live performance. I think the songs are so good and the album and the concept of it, like it needs, I would love to perform it. I really would. So I will talk to Binnie. I have, when I do my solo gigs, which I haven't done a gig for a little while, but I do them. And when I do my own solo gigs, I pepper the songs throughout my set list.
Oh, good.
So I still play them, but it's just me on the piano. So it's not as I said, like I played at that show where it was in semi-finals for the Music Prize, the Listen Up Music Prize it's called. That, yeah, I haven't, we have talked about this, about touring, and I really want to do something in a live space because I love performing and I love the songs, and I think you could do so many creative things on stage, the way you set them, with with even videos and motion, images and moving images as the songs play, because there's so much about the environment. Yeah,
it could be a huge multimedia show.
Yeah, you could do it. Well, it could be a visual multimedia show with just me on the side. Yeah. That would even be cool. It's not all about me. Yeah, and I mean, if we could get to America and do a couple of shows, that'd be amazing.
Well, that was going to be my next question. Would it be in Australia? Are you thinking it'd be more of an Australia-based tour, or would you come over to the States?
It'd probably have to be more States, because that's where, first of all, Binnie is and David is, and that's where it's getting a lot more. It's kind of getting a lot more attention in the States, I feel. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, we'll work it out. I think it's getting a lot, a couple of the songs. I know Orchard was played on a pretty big radio show recently, and yeah, there's quite a few songs that are being played on radio at the moment in the US. So hopefully we can turn that into something.
Yeah, hopefully. Well,
yeah.
I know I've kept you for a while. I want to thank you for sharing the music with me and for doing the podcast.
Oh, you're so welcome.
Where is the best way for people to find the album?
The album is inthesetrees.com inthesetrees.com, inthesetrees.com. So that is the In These Trees website, and then from there. Hang on, I've got my computer here. I just want to make sure I'm giving you the right address.
Yes.
In These Trees, and we are on. So I'm on Instagram at Tartie Music, and so inthesetrees.com is probably the best place, because you can then from there you can go to where you can buy it on Bandcamp.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so you can buy it on Bandcamp, or you can listen to it on, obviously it's on Spotify and Apple Music, and there's more on the website about the, our project together and our collaboration, and yeah.
Oh, great. So is there social, I know you mentioned there's a social media presence for you. Is there one for this collaboration?
Not so much this collaboration, so we're separate. So there's In These Trees, at In These Trees on Instagram, and at Tartie Music on Instagram, and then we cross post.
Oh, great.
A lot. And then at one stage I did set up a TikTok, but I sound so daggy and silly and like really uncool, but I don't know how to use it.
I don't either.
I tried, and Binnie was like, can you do the TikTok? And I did a couple of TikToks, and I didn't really understand.
Yeah.
I also didn't know where to find people and where to follow people. I was just scrolling, and then I was like, this is making me spend more time on my phone and less time creating.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to delve into that yet. So mainly Instagram and Facebook. Binnie's quite prolific on Facebook, so she's quite all over Facebook, which I rarely check my Facebook.
Yeah, I've really dialed back a lot of the social media. Facebook's basically just for family and the podcast. I'm almost never. I just post the podcast stuff on X. I'm on Instagram most of the time if I'm on social media. So I don't do.
I'll follow you on Instagram. Yeah, I'm only on Instagram now.
Oh,
really?
Thank you for all this time and like I said, for the music.
Thank you. I feel like I just ran. I apologize if it was too rambly.
No.
But,
no.
I love to chat, so this has gone very quickly.
Well, that's what this podcast is about. All I want to do is get some stories. I don't care how long they are or how short they are. I love hearing stories. I love to learn how an album gets made, the stories behind it and all. And so this has been perfect.
Well, this is a cool, as you said, it's an unusual story. It's a cool story. I still can't believe we did it. It's something that at the time I was like, oh yeah, I'm just going with the flow. This is new, Zen me. I'm just going to go with the flow. And look where the flow led me. It's so cool.
Over 10,000 miles between the two of you. It's just... I
know. And just say yes. Just say yes to opportunities. Like I could have said no at the first option.
Yeah.
At the first, if Binnie had asked me and I was like, no, I'm too busy, imagine I wouldn't have got to do this.
Yeah. You would never have been on this podcast.
No, I would never have met you.
It's
all sliding doors.
so there's that at least. If nothing else, this project has brought you to my podcast.
Exactly. It's a great podcast. I've been listening to it. It's fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much. Feedback, good or bad, is hard to find. Doesn't matter what it is.
Yeah. This is good feedback.
Meet me on the mountaintop. You keep running up and up. My love for you will never stop. I'll meet you on the mountaintop. This song